Hey Harmonizers, get ready for a transformation where Bunny goes from not wanting to do the jumps in the ring to actually having fun and being successful at the horse shows. It all starts here when we went to the first offsite horse show. So as we showed you in a previous video, she had been offsite for jumping schooling and everything went really well. So we're like, okay, we're ready to go to a horse show. Starting off with the flat class, which is a great opportunity to get in the ring, show the horse the ring, like get comfortable with the sounds, the people, without being needing to go over any jumps or anything like that. And there's lots of other horses around. And I am so proud of little Bun Bun here because look at this. She's just loping around, beautiful little canter. There's lots of other horses going around, like that bay going around to the inside there is going a lot faster and heavy on the bridle into the corner. And Bunny's just lope really nicely. It's a downward transition. Of course, Bunny listens really well and is calm through that. So I'm thinking, okay, like this is going really well. You can see Bunny's paying attention, lots of listening little ears, and it's going really nicely. They do the little change of direction. This is heading the other way. Sometimes horses can be a little funny where on one side, one direction, they can be going really well. And then their brain doesn't connect the right left the same way that we do with their eyesight. So they do have to see things out of both sides. But this is a little look at going to the right, getting the right canter heading off here in the group. Lots of other horses going around. There's a lot happening. Bunny's going around on her right lead canter, lots of people, there's tents, there's lots of things happening, and you can see Macy's riding on a pretty loose rein. Of course, there's a few little things that we could do to help improve that a little bit, maybe get her to stretch a little bit more long and low, like around her top line a little bit better, or be a bit more lateral, bending into the corners and things like that. But overall, I see a nice little pony that's going around looking pretty calm and like listening to the rider, able to walk, canter, get her leads. And this is a hack division. So they did the one class flat and now they're doing the other flat class, or it was two flat classes part of the same division. So they're now doing a change of direction. They do all of their classes here. And Bunny's coughing a little bit because it is quite dusty. It's a lot more dusty than riding in our arena at home. It was just really dry that day. So you can see Bunny reach down sometimes for the coughing. But overall, I was like, okay, this is going to go really well. So now she goes in for her jumping round. So we're like, okay, she's going in. She's got a nice little canter going. Kind of looks at the first fence there and isn't really sure, kind of walks over it. So I'm like, okay, was that the best thing to do? No, like, we had talked about this is a junior rider, so we're not going to pick on you too hard or anything. You did a great job, but we could have given Bunny more time to see the fence and then think about it. But then she comes into the next fence and Bunny she ends up giving her that one kick and then kind of sits there, and Bunny does not do the jump at all. So they get eliminated. And then after that point, they had another jumping round. She wasn't able to go over the first jumping fence. So we're like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to offsite schooling. So this is at a different farm, not our farm. And Bunny does the same thing where she stops at the jump going away from home. I've sped up this video footage just because otherwise it makes for a very long video. And Bunny does the same thing where she stops at this fence going away from home. But because, we're able to coach a little bit more because we're not at a show or anything, we're like, okay, remember, let her stop, sniff the jump, and we're just going to repeat until eventually she goes over the jump like she did there. And then she goes into the second jump going away from home and does the same thing. However, on the first retake, like she just kind of does a walking circle there, but on the first retake of the jump, she goes up and over the fence. And then afterwards, we had no more refusals. It was like, okay, we realized that jumping can be fun off-site, just like how we had practiced before, and no more issues with that. Kind of funny when I speed up the footage. She really does look like a bunny being a bunny. She is a bunny. So she's going around there doing her jumping courses and no issues with going over the fences at all, even with the jumps going away from home. I'm not going to share all of the courses with you. We didn't repeat a zillion courses, but we tried to make it more like a horse show where we brought another horse who's standing at the gate and she comes in for her individual courses. I think we did 3 courses the same way you would at a horse show, just to try to mimic the same thing. The only difference was that on the first course, we could take our time she had those refusals. And of course, without spurs or a crop, we reapproached everything to allow her the time to do that. And then she comes in, does her circle, goes right up and over the jumps going away from home. I'm just going to cut out a bunch of the middle stuff just to not make it extra long for you guys, but no issues going over the jumps. We're like, okay, we are ready to try a show again. So we decided to come back to the same venue. So the same venue that we schooled at, which is called New Beginnings. We came back there for the horse show, and we decided to go with jumpers, not hunters. They still have the same rules in the sense of the 2 refusals, but we thought it'd be a little bit more fun, take some of the pressure off. And that's where Macy, who's riding her, that's where her heart is in the jumpers, not the hunters. So we're like, okay, like go ahead and do that, but you still got to like ride carefully. So this is the very first round. They have a little chip to the first fence, which can be a little bit of hesitancy, a little bit of, cross canter corner, but got the lead coming in, and we're like, this is excellent. So she's jumping, making the turns. It's looking more comfortable. Of course, there's always little things that we can nitpick on what people can fix and improve on, but this channel isn't really about that, of picking people apart. It's more about trying to, how can we help horses and help humans even get better partnerships together, and how can we have troubleshooting steps to do better and better. So as they're going around, are the reins a little short sometimes and she needs a bit more of a release? Sure. But overall, she's doing a great job of guiding Bunny to these fences, where she's being careful on her back not to like plop on her or anything like that. Even when they get a chip stride or a long stride, she's trying really carefully not to pull on Bunny's face or anything over the jumps. And for the most part, leaving Bunny alone, like other than steering her, she's kind of staying out of her way and just saying like, hey, like let's have a fun time, do some of these jumps together. And you can see Bunny looking really comfortable making these turns. Like that's a pretty nice little rollback turn there up over the jump. And even though that is a show jumping round, they rode it pretty reasonably in the sense of not crazy fast or in a crazy kind of way, still nice corner. So I think she did a really good job there. And then this is coming into the next course now. And Bunny is looking pretty confident coming in with the canter. Does a little bit of a short stride coming into that jump, but Bunny moves out afterwards, makes the turn away from home. And you can see those little ears pricked forward, looking where they're going. And she looks like she's having a pretty good time thinking about where she's headed. And we don't judge those little, chip strides and things like that. Maybe it's the nerves, maybe it's, figuring out the striding of where we're at. It doesn't really matter. But the whole thing when you're starting a horse, showing and jumping, is you want to stay out of their way, make sure that they can be confident over the jumps, and realize that, you're going to be balanced with them. So I think she did a really good job there. And as they come in for their last course, things are looking pretty smooth again. So that first jump is going away from home, and did that really nicely coming over here. And you can tell I'm filming beside other people because you saw there was another little camera in hand that came in the distance there. So I'm on the side of all the people, and then the other sides you can see have like the hill and the grass and everything like that. The judges up in the little booth up there. So it's a different venue than the first show that we went to. But coming back here meant that we're better set up for success because Bunny's schooled here now twice. And it looks like she's having a good time. So for me, this is super promising that she's having some confidence in the show ring. And we literally went from being disqualified and eliminated because Bunny stopped at the jump going away from home, didn't have the confidence to go jumping around in that ring, which can be totally normal for young horses and green horses learning how to show off-site, is that it's a different environment. There can be nerves. There can be nerves from the rider. There can be nerves from everybody riding that day. It can be nervous showing, and it just contributes to how the horse is feeling. And then we didn't give up. We still took her to the warm-up ring and ended on a good note, then brought her schooling so we could practice. And I'm so glad we did that because we saw in our schooling how she still went to the very first jump and refused a couple times in a row. And it took some repetitions before it was like, hey, Bunny, like this is just as much fun as it is when we're at home. And a real key point here for me to share with you guys is that We didn't need to smack her with a crop. We didn't need to spur her or anything like that. It was more about just being patient with her and persistent of like, you can do this. This can be just as much fun as when we're at home. Now there's a little bit of an ugly moment there with the getting the right lead and with the steering piece there. Overall though, I'm seeing Bunny going around these jumps confidently and looking for where the next one is. And it just looks like a little team having a lot of fun, having a great experience doing their second offsite show together. And I'm really excited to see what Bunny takes into the next show year now that she's got all of this extra confidence behind her. But look at that little turn coming up over the jumps, like just having a great old time, turning a sharp left there around the corner, learning to be imbalanced with each other. Nice, beautiful takeoff spot there, coming around for I think it's the last jump here, making the turn, gaining that speed. The striding's getting a lot smoother. Overall, really well done. They get to come home with some ribbons, but most importantly, confidence together that going off-site and jumping can still be fun even when it's a horse show. Thanks for watching.
Remember to subscribe and check out harmonyhorsemanship.com for even more learning.